How do you see ChatGPT impact your children, for example, and the future of education?
I think it's early. Look, I think there's certainly a huge, profound development with ChatGPT. I think there's a huge change in the way AI will be leveraged going forward. I certainly see huge opportunity for things like workforce productivity, research, leveraging code, reusability of code. There's a lot of components that are incredibly powerful. I think scalable use cases will still have to develop. I think, how do you think about information versus insight? This is a point of view. I think will also develop. I think context matters. So how are you able to actually sort of get from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 in a dialogue sort of fashion will develop. But the progress is phenomenal. And if you've played with it, it's quite remarkable the kind of stuff that can be produced in a moment. So certainly, how do we leverage the underlying technologies on which ChatGPT is based to build out relevant use cases for our customers, I think can be very, very powerful as we move forward.
On the darker side, does it concern you in terms of how it impacts education? The fact that, especially in the Indian context, not what education should ideally be, but because rote and learning is an important part of the examination process, homework, you can just type it in and we'll write a play for you.
So some schools are now banning the use
of
ChatGPT. I think that will also happen the world over. So I'm less worried about that at the moment. I'm more worried about how it gets taken as the single source of truth. And how do you find context to ensure that what is getting shared is the source of truth, and it shouldn't become divisive. And so the right sort of structures of regulation and governance and how you leverage this, I think will also be something important that we have to think through as new things develop like this.
If we zoom out from Wipro just for a moment and talk about the IT sector in general, given that there's so much talk here in Davos and elsewhere about recession and economic growth headwinds, how does that impact the Indian IT sector this year and going forward?
You know, the interesting observation, Rahul, for me in the last few days has been that people are less somber about the environment than I thought they would be. Right? People are just generally a little bit more optimistic. Yes, the environment is uncertain, but I think there's more cautious optimism on the environment than there was before. It's also your own context in terms of your own relationships with customers, and so some markets look better for some companies versus other companies, and I see that unfolding as well. But and as I said, deal making is transacting, and I think it's transacting universally across the industry. The beauty of our industry is that it's at some level recession proof, right? Customers spend when they want to spend on the front end digital transformation, when they want to drive more activity on the revenue side with their customers. They also spend on cost transformation, and I see more and more efforts on cost than revenue, and that's some shift that you're seeing over the last couple of quarters. But I'm very hopeful as 2023 unfolds.
Yeah. As one goes down the pandemic, there's so much Indian presence, especially from the IT sector.
Not the pandemic, the promenade.
As one walks down the promenade, there's so much of an Indian presence, especially from the Indian IT sector. So there's Wipro, there's TCS, there's HCL. When you see the others, is there a deep sense of competition between all these IT companies? Swords unsheathed all the time?
Rahul, it's very healthy competition, right? I mean, there's enough business for everybody, and there's a lot of learning you can get from your best competitors. They keep you honest, they keep you on your toes, but the race is long, and so you can't run the race constantly looking to the sides. You've also got to run the race looking in front, but also be aware of where you are. So I think it's good, healthy competition. Frankly, it's fabulous to see the Indian representation generally, on the promenade and here in Davos every year, and it only gets stronger, I find, every year. So it's a good thing. I think it's positive for India.
And what are you picking up in all the meetings that you're doing here at Davos about how India is being perceived in this moment by the global community?
Huge positivity, right? Certainly a great alternative in the world, a bright spot in terms of the economy. So there's general great optimism about India as we move forward, and I think we should only build on that as we move forward.